Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Yack, Talk Radio, WRML Radio, Ping, Mays Landing, New Jersey, Atlantic Community College. It's the Yack. Also featured on YouTube, on the Sports Yack YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. I'm here this morning, man. It's Haas. I'm here this morning with a good friend of mine, Mr. Jeff Wakefield Ward.
How's everybody
doing?
All-world
running back. What's going on, man? How's your weekend?
Everything's good. Cowboys had a bye week, so this was a non-stressful week altogether.
I feel that, man. I feel that. Yeah, they ain't lose no ground, man. They're good.
First place.
There you go. Yeah, man. A lot of things to talk about. Obviously, the NBA started, so we're going to talk about that a little later in the show. But of course, we got the Week 8 action, and we're going to dig deep into that. And right off the bat, Jeffrey, what stood out to you yesterday?
What stood out to me was bad coaching. Bad coaching stood out to me yesterday. I don't know if anybody's seen the Bears game. That was an atrocious job. How they ended the half, being at the 1 yard line, not getting the touchdown, but then also running out of time and not getting any points out of that. And then how they ended the game where they could have advanced the ball a little bit closer to make that field goal an easier field goal for their kicker. They end up downing the ball, and field goal kicker end up missing I believe a 40-yard field goal. So
yeah, the Chicago fans wasn't too happy about that at all. Not even for a little bit. That was definitely a debacle on their part. Definitely didn't look good. The Bears are struggling. I don't like the way. I don't like Mitchell Trubisky as a quarterback. It's just me. I don't know. I never believed in him. He seems very limited in his skill set. The Bears definitely dropped the ball that draft. They thought they had the prototypical quarterback, and it just turns out he's just somebody that can just manage your offense and everything works around him.
I think they tried to get cute in a draft where you could have had Mahomes or Watson.
You're probably the two best quarterbacks coming up right now, and you miss out because you went for the traditional guy.
Well, not even that. I mean, they ended up picking a guy who only played 12 snaps at North Carolina and really wasn't that good when he was there, but they liked his mobility. I mean, a fun fact about him is him and Kareem Hunt played Pop Warner football together, and he started over Kareem Hunt when they played Pop Warner. So everybody gets enamored with how he can run and how he can do this and that, but they don't want him to run. So It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit. And even with that being said, they have a good defense. They have a good running back, even though they decided to give him the ball just yesterday. Montgomery finally had a good game where he had over 100 yards rushing.
Right.
He went into the season. He came into the season them saying that they were going to give him the ball, and then they really didn't let him get in and get a groove and get going. Yesterday it panned out for him, but they still didn't come out with the win. I think it says more about the coaching staff than anything else. So, like I said, bad coaching yesterday stood out.
Definitely bad coaching. Even on that game, we should take on the running back situation with the Chargers, the LA Chargers, which is still hard for me to say.
Melvin Gordon, that holdout did not work for him. I mean, he admitted it. I mean, all on Twitter and all kinds of social media stuff, he came out and said that it didn't work. He plans on never doing that again. He'll never miss a training camp again because he realized as a running back, even with somebody like Zeke, it still takes 2 or 3 games for you to get back. So if you come back in the middle of the season, week 7, week 8, and it takes 2 or 3 weeks for you to come back, you really wasted the season because now it's week 11 when you decide that you're going to actually have a good game. And I mean, he still didn't play like Melvin Gordon played yesterday, but he's never going to be the Melvin Gordon in LA anymore because Eckler's going to get carries and he's going to get catches. So all the catches that he used to get in the red zone, some of those are going to Eckler now because they trust him because Eckler's been there since July. So he's been in the program since May. You know what I mean? Like with the coaches and he was their starter. So it's going to work itself out. I think he ends up in the free agent market, and Eckler ends up being the starter next year. But they just got to do the timeshare thing for right now until the end of the season.
Yeah, he definitely made a valiant effort getting in that end zone yesterday.
Because he has to make himself look good.
He definitely looked good doing it. So he's been playing well all season long.
It would be interesting him being a free agent in the offseason because he fits what the Eagles actually do with their running back. They have one main guy that could run the ball, catch the ball, get tough yardage and everything like that. I mean, would you like to see him wear Eagle green?
Yeah, if as long as he's affordable, yeah, I don't see why not. He definitely fits what as me being an Eagles fan, what we like to do, and we could just go right into what their game yesterday with the Buffalo Bills. Bounce back after the whatever happened in Dallas. I don't know. I just wanted to see shots made in Dallas. And that didn't happen. So yeah, it was they first half was kind of slow, but they were battling and ended up getting the lead towards the end of the half, and then in the second half, Miles Sanders broke the game open, and that's where we got the control with that explosive run that he had early in the third quarter.
I got a few things. I got a few things to ask.
Go ahead.
So, just talking football, me taking my Dallas Cowboys fanhood and put it away. Mm-hmm. You guys can win if y'all run the ball like that.
Well, we know that, but we also have an Andy Reid complex where,
but then
Doug Peterson wants his whole. See, what makes him smart in his head is how he designs these passing plays, and he's big on the pad. He's big on using Carson in his arm. So when you see the running game working, yeah, all right, we're going to lean on that a little bit. But in his heart, he wants to throw the football. And that's a little bit of the problem, because this is stuff we could have did earlier in the season, right off the bat.
So with that being said, my question to you is: are you saying take the ball out of your MVP's hands?
What are you talking about? Out of Carson's hands?
That makes your team better if you take the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands.
Right now, without Deshaun Jackson, yeah. Because it seems
so is Wentz who y'all thought he was?
Wentz is definitely Wentz is definitely who we thought we were.
Because I see Aaron Rodgers out there with undrafted wide receivers making them look good, and
those undrafted wide receivers are better though. They're better. We don't. Me being an Eagles fan and being a fan for a long time, especially let's just say in the last 5-6 years, we don't really draft well at the wide receiver position. We really don't. They don't have they want to throw the football, but we don't draft well for it. I mean, we had a borderline decent receiver in Jordan Matthews. It was probably the best wide receiver draft pick that we had in the last 5-6 years.
Because if I'm not mistaken, y'all fired Greg Lewis, who was your wide receivers coach, correct?
Yeah.
Who is now the wide receivers coach out in Kansas City.
Yeah, he's with his homie, Andy Reid.
But he's helping those guys do the job.
Andy Reid's been around the block for a long time, man. Doug Peterson's still very young as a coach. He does have a Super Bowl win, but that happened in his second season.
Either way, it's a good win. It's a good win for you guys.
Yeah.
It gets your momentum pointed back in the right direction. You know what I mean? I do feel like y'all have some things to clean up in the locker room, but after a win, that cleans up a lot of things just on its own. So maybe that was, a win was just what y'all needed just to get everybody back on the same page.
Yeah, it's just unlike the 2017 season where they were just riding highs and stuff like that, man. It's just after dealing with that success, man, they wait till their backs are against the wall. They feel like they could just show up and just be that same team from 2017, and you just can't be that team.
Who do y'all have next week?
Chicago Bears. That's in Philadelphia. Chicago Bears in Philly.
How do you feel about that?
I feel the same way I feel about the Bills situation. I don't the Bears offense is nothing to really scare you, but obviously they pack a punch with Khalil Mack in that defense. So as long as you win the turnover battle, you'll beat the Bears. They're not gonna. If you allow the Bears to score more than 15, 16, 17 points, then that's a problem with your defense. But we know the problems with the secondary. They definitely played a lot better yesterday, but at the same time, Josh Allen, that offense is I don't know what that is, but it's not a professional offense anymore. He was the best thing about the Bills' offense was him running the football any opportunity he got. But
let's not disrespect them. They have a good defense. They do have a good running game. And I mean, your weakness is not a weakness of theirs, because they actually have John Brown, who's gotten y'all deep before when he played for Arizona. I mean, they have weapons on the outside. They have Beasley, who's played against y'all and have killed y'all with a Cowboy jersey on before.
Yeah, he seemed like he was wearing a Cowboy jersey yesterday.
So I mean, like I said, taking my fanhood out of it, I think you guys can win that game, but I don't think it's going to be any kind of easy or walk in the park.
No. It's going to be ugly. It's probably it's one of those games that you just gotta watch. It's going to be plenty of hits. It's going to be fun. So one thing I want to talk about the Sunday night game and Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones going into Kansas City without Patrick Mahomes, who's they're playing it safe with him right now. They're not trying to risk any more injury with his knee. He seems like he would be ready to play, but Kansas City fought hard without Patrick. Fought hard.
The thing is, with Andy, I mean, you're an Eagle fan. You understand this. You've dealt with this man for 11, 12 years. It's a system.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You can make anybody look good, at least for one game.
The reason why he went out and grabbed him, that particular person, is because he knew he could plug and play his system. You know what I mean? And if Andy Reid is in your ear, which they are in their ear till about 15 seconds on the play clock, he's able to tell him, hey, this is your read, throw it here, throw it away.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so as long as you have someone who's disciplined and will go along with the game plan, it's easy. I can see why it was. And I mean, they have athletes everywhere. So I mean, at the end of the day, they started that game off throwing a lot of bubble screens to Hardman. I think the running back, or the wide receiver's name is, and getting certain wide receivers in space, but not deep downfield. He didn't take really any deep shots. He kept it controlled, which is what helped Moore out. And Moore didn't do what he was supposed to do. He stayed within his range. You know what I mean? If he would have went out there and tried to throw it all over the place, I'm sure he'd have made some mistakes. But he went out there and followed the game plan, short passes.
No, it was they were down 14, came back, took the lead. Packers held it together, got a big win on the road. 7-1, man. At the start of the season, I wouldn't think they would have been 7-1 at this point, but they are. They're right now the best team in the North. What are your thoughts on the Packers moving forward? Half the season they're in first place. So what do you see them?
Any team with a healthy Aaron Rodgers is a contender. They do have weapons around him. I'm extremely impressed with Aaron Jones. He had one clunker this year, but other than that,
he's a good football player.
He's been outstanding. Young
He's
kid
a
out
really
of
good football player.
Young kid out of UTEP. Very good, very speedy, very handsy. One of the reasons why McCarthy ended up getting up out of there is because Aaron Rodgers wanted this kid on the field last year, and McCarthy didn't believe in this kid.
Right.
Now you see he's with a coach in a system that can exploit all his good things. I mean, I think Devontae Adams being out helps his production because they started leaning on him, and I think it was right after they played us that they really started leaning on him a little bit more, and he's responded. Like I said, he had that one clunker where he dropped the pass wide open in the end zone and then fumbled, and then Williams came in and played a very good game. So they have a 1-2 punch in that backfield.
Right.
So
yeah, they do.
It's not all about Aaron Rodgers just going back there and chucking it around. Now, they're going to be more dangerous because they get Devontae Adams back next week. You know what I mean? They get the time off, and they come back next week with all of their weapons. So now you got this kid Aaron Jones who's been growing over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Feels like he's the man, and now you put Devontae Adams alongside with him. You're giving Aaron Rodgers toys to play with, and their defense is doing just enough. They're getting pressure. They got two Smith brothers on the defensive ends that are getting pass rush. When you can rush the passer and you can run the football, and you got a good quarterback, that sounds like a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, the Packers, man. Like, nobody wants to go into Green Bay and Lambeau in December. Nobody wants to go there for a playoff game. So if they keep this thing rolling, man. They got Minnesota is catching steam as well. They seem like they're back after their lackluster season last year. So between them, I don't see the Bears in that little dance of who's going to win the division. Obviously, Detroit's not going to be in that dance at the end of the season. So it's basically a two-team race with the Packers and Minnesota Vikings. So. Yeah, man. Aaron Rodgers seems like he got another good shot.
And if you're telling me to believe in Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins, you answer that question.
Oh, come on, man. It's well documented, man. I think Kirk Cousins is probably the most mediocre quarterback in the.
Even though Dalvin Cook has been an MVP candidate.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Florida,
gets stronger every week.
Florida State guy, right?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
he's strong. He's a strong cat back there, man.
Well, he's fast. That's his thing.
Strong,
his vision, his balance. I mean, that was what he was.
Finishes runs like he
runs away from everybody.
I like that cat. Shout out to Florida State University.
Good group of running backs in the league nowadays.
Yeah, man. So right now we're gonna take a little break. You're listening to the Yack on WRML Radio 107.9, Mays Landing, New Jersey, Atlantic Cape Community College. You can actually catch us online live at WRMLradio.org. And yeah, man, we're gonna pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Em, and this is Sports Yack. So basically, we're gonna be talking all sports all the time. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like, share, all that. We want to hear from you. We want to see you. We want to interact, and we're looking forward to everything. So tune in.
Back in the building, still talking football. Patriots are 8-0. No surprise there. You know, they play in that AFC lease. They always guarantee at least 5 wins in there, normally 6. And they'll probably get the 6 wins this year. They're halfway through, on pace for a perfect season. Definitely don't expect that, but that defense is balling. The defense has been carrying them. The defense has only allowed 4 touchdowns all season.
But they've scored 4 touchdowns this season as well,
which is insane.
It's week 8.
They would literally have a winning record if the defense just took the field and everybody else took off.
And I mean, just on a small note, I mean, we're not talking really fantasy right now, but fantasy-wise, they're putting up in points that your quarterback would put up in fantasy.
Yeah, so if you are in a fantasy league and you got the Patriots defense,
you're probably winning your league.
Yeah, God bless you, because this defense is right now they're on par with the 85 Bears, the 2000 Ravens, 91 Eagles.
And I'm sorry, I can care less that everybody keeps saying they haven't played anybody, but apparently everybody hasn't played anybody. So
yeah, you got to play who's in front of you.
Play what's on your schedule.
You got to play who's in front of you.
The people that they're playing on their schedule are getting shut down and demoralized by their defense.
Yeah,
and they don't have a defensive coordinator. It's Belichick calling me.
And this is a league where, you know, everybody's beatable. Everybody's beatable.
Except those guys.
Except those guys.
Except those guys.
It's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady just has to show. All he has to do is show up.
They've been relevant since we were in high school.
All he has to do is show up at this point. He's only riding his wave of greatness. He doesn't even have to perform anymore.
No, as long as he doesn't make mistakes, that team won't.
And he's not. And let's be real, he's not going to make multiple mistakes. You might get him one time, but he's not. You're not really going to get him a second time.
So do you take that? Do you like? Everybody keeps saying he's going to fall off. I think he if he wanted to, he could play another 3 or 4 years. The way they play, the way where he doesn't have to chuck it around the yard, they can hand it to their running backs. And people fail to forget they got Damian Harris coming back too at running back, so they'll be able to just hand the ball off for like the next 3 years if they really wanted to.
I mean, let's be real, man. We remember Peyton Manning's last season, and there was a big drop off from the season before with his production, with his play. But at the same time, all he had to do was manage the game at that point.
I believe when they won the Super Bowl that year, he threw for like 140.
Yeah, it was just
or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. He didn't do much, man. But he earned that for his greatness. He earned that Super Bowl.
Defense. That team had a good defense. Von Miller and those boys were at the top of their game, and that's what's going on with these guys.
Exactly.
Van Noy was a draft pick out of Detroit, and they kind of just threw him to the wayside. And now he has like 7 sacks and 3 picks. And Jamie Collins. Think about what they did to Jamie Collins. They drafted Jamie Collins. They didn't want to pay him. They let him go to Arizona and get paid. Then, it was Cleveland. He goes to Cleveland, gets paid, plays in Cleveland, doesn't like winning, wasn't winning, comes back on a cheaper contract, and now is balling for them for pennies. Not pennies, but you get what I'm saying. A bargain contract for a veteran pass rusher. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That team, that front office, I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah, man. This is that New England team, man. I mean, they're just blessed. Little luck.
As long as Kraft stays at his parlors and and out of the way, he's good. That's what happens. He just stays out of the way.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking to a Cowboy fan whose owner is probably sitting in the office
the biggest,
right now.
biggest.
You know what I mean?
Biggest,
and if he stayed out of the way, our progress and everything probably would have been better over the last 2 decades. But when you have meddling owners,
yeah, he's not staying out the way.
Exactly.
He loves that. He's the reincarnation of Al Davis.
Yeah.
He likes being in the forefront. So, yeah, man. But we talking about the Patriots, but they also played the Browns, who are, I mean, if you want to crown them. They still stink. So, what's your take on the Browns, man? Like, a lot of hype this season, man. A lot of talk. Baker Mayfield act like he won 2 Super Bowls and is going for a 3-peat. So,
all right.
What's your take?
It's a couple things. I think people are harder on Baker Mayfield than Neep because the thing is, I still think if you was in a locker room with that guy, you'd want to play for that guy. He's not an overachiever at all. He's an underdog in every sense of the word. Walked on that, I believe Texas Tech. Walked on that Oklahoma. Walked on that Texas Tech. Won the job. Got hurt, then lost his job. Walked on that Oklahoma. Won the job. Then won the Heisman. Then, you know what I mean, nobody gave him he's a 5'11" quarterback. Nobody gave him a shot, and he was the number 1 pick. So I mean, he plays with a chip on his shoulder,
which we love. We love that.
And so I don't think there's a problem with that. Now, when you mix that with what comes with being a quarterback and with what comes with being appealing as an outspoken quarterback, I think he got caught up in a little bit of the commercials that come on. There's a lot more Baker Mayfield commercials, and I mean, so maybe that took away some of the stuff off the field. And then when you add a personality like an Odell Beckham and things like that, it made an interesting elixir in that locker room. But at the end of the day, I just don't think he's coached well, and I think all of the Cleveland Browns' problems are because they settled for Freddie Kitchens as opposed to going and getting somebody real.
Going to get somebody to take him over the top.
That's it. Because Baker Mayfield was an accurate quarterback. That's what he was lauded on when he came in. When he came in, it was Baker Mayfield. He's a good motivator. He can get his team to play hard, and he's accurate.
Right.
Now he's doing none of that.
It's
Think about how that game ended yesterday. They put their quarterback in a bad situation. Yeah. Think about, once again, I was talking about the bad coaching. At the end of that game, it was 4th and 9. They had their punt team on the field. I believe it was a clock violation, and they ended up getting a clock violation. Delayed game. They ended up moving the ball back. He brings his offense back on the field with 4th and 19. Baker Mayfield gets the snap, runs around, gets tackled for a loss, and gets up limping from that.
Right.
That was 4th and 19. That put them back in. That put the other team back on the field. That put the New England Patriots back on the 20, on Cleveland's 20.
Yeah, it is.
That's how that ended.
Cleveland's destined for a horrible season.
A lottery pick again.
Yeah, horrible season. Sheesh. And but you gotta think about it, right? Use the bad coaching move or decision to go with Freddie Kitchens. That comes from an organization that's has no idea what winning's about.
And so now
they've been bad for decades.
And so now, what do you do if you're Cleveland? Do you fire this guy after one season for doing an atrocious job, and then put your quarterback in a position where now he's on his third coach in 3 years?
But you gonna keep him? You gonna keep him with somebody that's under par, or are you gonna?
Because
you can't do that.
Because now what you do when you bring in a new regime is they go, if he has a bad season, they go, well, we didn't draft that guy. Can we draft our guy? And what if they have a top 10 pick this year? What do you do? Does he become what you call him is down in Miami from Arizona? You know what I mean? Josh Rosen. Does he become that? That's crazy. That's crazy. When I think he's a good quarterback, I still believe that Baker's a good quarterback.
No,
I just think he's horribly coached.
He has all the tools, the he has everything that you want in a quarterback. He even with the lack of size, he plays way bigger than that. He's like Drew Brees in a way. Drew Brees is not the tallest quarterback, but he can just knife you. If
you look at the film from this year and last year, and you just look at feet, when Baker Mayfield was in the pocket last year, his feet. So it comes down to offensive line. Their offensive line isn't playing well, and if you're not good up front, I think I said that earlier. If you're not good up front, then you're not going to be good at all.
Yeah, everything you're good at is just not gonna work without the offensive line. So the Browns, man, they got a lot of decisions that they have to take care of in the offseason? Like you said, do you keep the head coach in place? Do you go find somebody else? Do you risk Baker Mayfield getting going through another system? It's a lot, but this is what happens with bad teams. This is why some of these bad teams stay bad for so long.
And it starts at the top.
Yeah, I'm talking about your Browns. I'm talking about your Bengals. I'm talking about your Lions. They just consistently make bad decisions, and these teams are in limbo from being bad or mediocre for decades.
Bills.
The Bills. The Bills, I mean, outside of a playoff berth 2 years ago, I mean, they've been forgotten. The Redskins, these teams are
what do you do?
These franchises are bad.
What do you do if you're the Broncos? What direction do the Broncos go?
It's kind of hard because it's they still had recent success. I mean, just 2015 they've had success. But so it's weird.
Okay, so that was with them signing. That was with John Elway signing Peyton Manning.
Yeah. And that's the only quarterback he hit on.
Exactly.
That's the only quarterback he hit on, and that was just you're signing probably one of the top 3 or 5 best quarterbacks of all time.
But got lucky in a scenario where Colts could get rid of him because they had that draft capital, and knowing that they had the number 1 pick when Andrew Luck came out. So are they hoping that something like that happens? I don't know. Do you go out and get now? That's what I'm saying. Do you go out and get a quarterback, or do you go out and I'm saying, how do you move forward if you're Denver?
Probably release John Elway from his duties. Let's be real. He as great as he is as a quarterback at heart, he has not spotted a quarterback in the draft.
But you're going to walk into the office of a guy who's won you 2 Super Bowls and one.
Well, he's been a part of all 3. So he's been a part of all 3.
That's hard. That's hard to walk into that office.
It's hard, but it's the same thing with if you go in the NBA, the same thing the Pistons had to do with Joe Dumars. Yeah, Joe Dumars helped them get 2 championships on the court. He helped them get a championship as a general manager, but he became stagnant in the way he was doing things. The Pistons fell off of the elite status, and they was riding into mediocrity. So they had to get rid of Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars is beloved, just like John Elway's beloved.
A quarterback in Denver is a little bit different.
It is because
a little bit different.
It's I'm not saying it's the same, but it's basically it's similar. It's very similar, man. You get a lot. You want to give someone that give you all those championships, whether it's on the court or behind the desk. You want to keep them in place, just for nostalgia, but.
All right, so how about
it's probably time to move on from John Elway.
So me and you being NFC East people, how do me and you fix the Redskins?
Oh well, you start by Dan Snyder deciding to sell the team. That's how it starts. You start from you got to cut the head off the snake.
But these dudes aren't giving up their teams. That's never happened.
So all right, so we knocked that out the equation. What can you do with the Redskins? You got to blow it up, man. You got to they're already on pace to get either the 2nd or the 3rd pick in the draft, right? So,
okay, so
let's just
again. So, are you bailing on Dwayne Haskins already?
No, you can keep him around because you keep him around unless you do get that pick, and you do like Arizona, and you get the quarterback that you want, even though you drafted somebody the year before. You do get the person that you really, really want.
But that person my whole thing is now you're pigeonholing a coach that's coming in to make him like that guy. Whoever you hire has to like Dwayne Haskins, because you can't hire me. We have a top 5 pick in a draft where there's 3 generational quarterbacks they say coming out, and I have to like that guy. Why do I have to like that guy when my job and everybody else's job in this locker room is dependent on that guy? And he didn't work out for the last regime. Why should I attach my job to him? Because if he's not good, you guys can get me out of here in 1 year if you want to.
That's you know what? In all those thoughts, this is why these teams. Now I think this is why these teams are so bad, man. Because they're a lot of these teams are afraid to pull that trigger, man. So you can't worry about that. All right, let's just even take the Patriots out, man. The Chiefs have been a very good organization for decades. The Packers, and
you're right.
A few other teams,
you're right. And they've all had to move on from.
Even,
but those were veteran quarterbacks that they were moving on from.
Even Dallas, in a way, weirdly, because a lot of people want to make fun of Dallas because they haven't won a Super Bowl since the '95 season, but they've actually had a pretty decent. If you think about it, they had some bad seasons, but they actually had some success, some regular season success, and they've been really good. They've had a couple of 13-3 seasons. So
12-4. Yeah, listen.
yeah.
Listen,
So actually, it's not like Jerry Jones is doing is doing bad over there at all.
But it's not Jerry Jones that's doing that.
But he has his.
Steven's the one pulling the trigger. Steven's the one that took a lineman instead of drafting Johnny Manziel. Steven's the one that took linebacker.
And that probably saved the franchise too. That probably saved the franchise from a lot of turmoil because
that started the turnaround.
Because I feel like Jerry really wanted Johnny Manziel.
That was and he did.
He really wanted him.
And that was Fredericks that year. So that year was the year that we took Fredericks, and everybody was like, "Oh," because I even said it. I was like, "Why did we take Fredericks? Why did we take a lineman?" And he's been the most solid person.
Yeah, no, it was there. Yeah.
And then the next year it was the same thing. Took another lineman when everybody thought we were going to take a safety, and then we took another lineman when everybody thought we were going to take a linebacker, I believe. And it was just. And at the time where everybody's like, "Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that?" And then it all lined up for us to take my man Zeke.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's about, man. And that's how you guys acquire talent. Moving forward, man. Let's talk about Drew Brees and his return to action yesterday.
Drew Brees
carving up those cards. What is your take?
First off, I would love to play for a guy like that. What he does for that team, in that locker room, for that city is just absolutely crazy. Because I mean, that thumb injury on your throwing hand for a quarterback. I mean, that's ball handling. And their offense isn't one of those offenses where you're just taking the snap and handing it off. And there's a lot of fit play actions and fakes and one-hand play actions and things like that. And for him to have his right thumb compromised and not be able to squeeze a football 2 weeks ago, and for him to come out yesterday and throw for... I had it, once again, we're not talking fantasy, but I had him in fantasy. I sat him on my bench because I'm like, hey, they're going to come back. They're going to be conservative. They're not going to put him in danger. They're not going to make him throw the ball. They're not going to blah, 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 blah. 375 yards and 3 touchdowns later, you wouldn't. And then it was going into a bye week. So he like somebody like that. People don't understand things like that. That his team plays hard for him because he does things like that. He's the only $100 million guy in that locker room. Well, no, second, because Michael Thomas got a big contract.
Yeah, huge contract.
But he's a $100 million guy in that locker room. It's easy for him to be like, you know what, I'm gonna sit out this 1 week, go into the bye, and then just, you know what I mean, come back after that. No, he put himself on the line once again for his team to show them how much of a leader he is. And I mean, that's why they are a Super Bowl contender as well.
He's one of the best to ever do it, man. He's
no, he really is, and people don't give him his due.
He's
and he really
one
is
of the best. He's literally, if you do a top 10 quarterback list, he needs to be on there.
Well, first off, if you change,
he needs to be on there.
I know you can't change history, air quotes, but think about how two of the last seasons ended for him. How last year ended on the most horrible call I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that was very blatant.
They win that game. I'm sorry. You can say what you want.
That was very blatant.
And then the year before that, the worst defensive play I've ever seen in my life with Williams, the safety, coming down and missing Diggs, like looking shady as all.
It seemed like he took a dive.
100%.
He had money on the game.
100%. So if those two things don't happen, in air quotes, he wins one of those. Now he has 2 Super Bowls. His legacy is completely different. So honestly, I think those two seasons and how they ended is what's going to keep him in the league 2 or 3 more years, because he understands that if he gets another Super Bowl or 2 Super Bowls, he will be in the top 2 or 3 conversation at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
He's the only quarterback that's had
you could definitely with 2 Super Bowls, you're definitely in the top. You're definitely in the top 5 at that point. Because he's just that good. He's just that accurate. He's that accurate. He's been that good for a long. Even in San Diego, he was that good.
Last year, that man completed 84%.
That is insane.
And we're not talking about for a team that throws the ball 20 times. They throw the ball 35, 40 times a week. And the man completed 84% of his
it's big plays that happen when he throws the football.
Oh, yeah.
Whether the pass is short, he puts it where your receiver can just continue to run. And Yack.
And real quick, I mean, think about it. Look at what the Saints are doing. The Saints, I believe, are 7-1?
Yeah, they only lost once.
Drew Brees.
Shout out to Teddy Bridgewater too. Man.
That's what I'm saying. Drew Brees.
He's gonna. They got a great quarterback room. They got a great quarterback room.
They're set up for the next.
Taysom Hill.
Tyson Hill. Listen. Peyton is a great coach. This is what flips it to the good coaching in the league. If we talk about the good, we talked about Belichick for New England. Good coaching in the league. The fact that they're doing this without their best running back.
And he's got an extension.
Listen, they're doing this without their all-pro running back. They've done this without their all-pro quarterback. And no one's talking about none of that. They're 7-1 without their two best players.
You think we get a Breeze and Aaron Rodgers championship game?
Nope. Won't happen.
Won't happen. What's going to be in the way of that?
Scheduling and how it's going to end up turning out, because I still don't end up seeing them being the 1 and 2 seeds for some reason.
We're halfway through the season, so we're at that halfway point. So who do you think? Who do you think right now? Who's your final four? Top two in the NFC and AFC. Who's in the NFC Championship game right now as we speak?
Okay, so right now as we speak, I still would I would go with probably New Orleans and Seattle.
Seattle's a good choice.
Russell Wilson, man.
It's hard to get him off the field, man.
It's hard.
He's probably the hardest quarterback to get off the field.
And I just don't count him out. I don't count him out. I love my Cowboys, but it's going to be hard to beat those quarterbacks.
Always.
Those quarterbacks. When you're talking about Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat one of those three to get to that next game.
They're still the best three.
And the thing is, I see us being in that top 4 in the NFC East. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be hard to beat.
Or the conference.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I mean.
You're already in the top 4.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean in the conference.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's going to be hard to beat those guys. And the way my defense is playing as of today, I don't see us beating any of those guys. So I can't put us in that ilk. So that's what I'm saying. If you're asking me today, I think in the NFC side, Seattle.
Who's hosting? New Orleans?
Yes.
So you think
I don't see them losing more than another 2 or 3
AFC Championship game. Who you got?
New England and insert team here. New England and Kansas City. People are prisoners of moment. Kansas City played very well last night for a team that's playing with a quarterback that was scouting for the Miami Dolphins in March.
He literally has no stats.
You get what I'm saying?
He has no significant stats on his resume.
You know what I mean? I mean, he played for Miami. He played for for Carolina. He's a okay quarterback, but he played very well last night. He did what they asked him to do. And when Mahomes comes back, you'll see why they call him the Ferrari, the future Hall of Famer, and all that crazy stuff, because
he should be back the next game.
And when he comes back, they're healthy now, because now Tyreek Hill's been back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He got hurt in Tyreek Hill's first game back. So Tyreek Hill didn't have the game legs yet. Now Hardman, the rookie wide receiver, he's flying around. They got a 4x1 team at wide receiver. Yeah. So once Mahomes comes back and he can be mobile, and you add him in with Kelsey, they got too many weapons. So yes, I got New England, Kansas City, New Orleans, and Green Bay.
And New England hosting.
New England hosting.
The Chiefs already got 3 losses.
Yeah, they're not.
They're probably going to go 12-4. As long as they get Patrick Mahomes.
New England's probably going to go
14-2.
I say 15-1.
I'm gonna say 14-2. Maybe that last game they may not care, but they may not. They may play that last game. They may play that last game.
When have you ever heard Belichick not care?
Yeah. We'll see how
Tom Brady will be playing week 17.
We'll see how it goes. All right, so that's one before we step off and now talk NBA on the next segment. Deshaun Watson. It's how phenomenal is this athlete?
His coach said he was Michael Jordan when he came out.
I ride those coattails. He definitely looks like
nobody believes him. I think he's very underrated. People still don't give him his due, because they talk about Mahomes and they talk about, when they're talking about the young quarterback, the Wentzes. When they were playing horrible teams, Dak. You hear about those guys all the time. But meanwhile, this guy's getting kicked in the face and throwing touchdown passes.
Why can't they protect him over there?
Well, but no. That's the thing. They're starting to.
But they went
and got Laramie Tunsil.
He's still running for his life.
They went and got Laramie Tunsil. They need some drafts that's the thing. They haven't been bad where they could go out and get that top tackle in the draft. And there being a shortage of tackles that come out in the draft that are pass protectors now. That's why O-line play is just bad across the board.
because now these teams run these RPO offenses.
Yeah.
You just need smaller, faster linemen. There isn't a left tackle in the in college anymore unless you go up to the Big Ten somewhere, which is they normally go get them. That's kick stepping and pass setting.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they have a lot of these teams have to put these lines together in unconventional ways through free agency and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where they started it. They have their left tackle now. They have their left tackle now. Now they go and find their right tackle eventually in the offseason, hopefully, and then they piece together the interior of the line. Over time, they're going to end up putting this line together, and it's going to be really good. And if I was the NFL, I'd try to get my wins in now.
Because that's the last thing you need is Deshaun Watson with consistent protection.
But the thing is, just like everything else, their offense is going to get really good at the same time that their defense is breaking down. They lost Clowney to free agency, and now they lost Watt for the season.
J.J. Watt.
Yep.
Again.
They lost Watt. This is the third time in 4 years that this dude's hasn't been able to complete the season.
This is it's a shame because this dude is a talent
Generational
talent. I think so, man.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
he's a massive human being who's just crazy athletic.
No, he has a motor. His motor doesn't stop. And when you're a large human that works hard and you don't stop, it's a truck.
He's a monster, man.
But the thing is, I mean, I think he has 3 defensive MVPs. Think over he's been hurt 3 of the last 4 seasons. Think of maybe he wins 2 of those seasons defensive MVP. How his legacy is now with LTs and players like that. Yeah. But it's going to be one of those things where, I mean, he's still a Hall of Famer. He retired today as a Hall of Famer.
He earned
that. But his stats and everything aren't going to be what they should be, and his greatness isn't going to be shined upon like it should be because of his injuries.
And he won't have that playoff success.
No, he won't. He won't.
He won't.
Because okay, if you do this, would you take Von Miller or would you take J.J. Watt?
That's a good question, man. I seen Von do it in the playoffs though.
And Von has a ring.
Yeah, I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it in the playoffs.
Does
I
Von
seen him
have
make
a defensive player of the year? I think he has one.
Yeah, he's
But over the career,
and he's been healthier.
But over the career, Watt,
it's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough because I like J.J. Watt a lot, man. He can play both sides of the ball. Like he's a special player, man. So we wish him well, man. You gotta hopefully mentally he can deal with the deal with doing
They said he should be back for OTA.
Doing the rehab again. So,
He will. J.J. Watt's not a quitter. He's not somebody that's going to go out like.
Because that's rough, man. That's rough. 3 out of 4. That's rough.
Oh yeah.
That's rough. That's rough mentally. Forget that physical aspect. That's rough mentally. So, yeah, man. So we'll take a little break. We'll get into some NBA. You're listening to WRML Radio, Maysland, New Jersey. Atlanta Cape Community College. Also catch us live at WRMLradio.org and on the Sports Yack YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be right back. What's going on? This is Haas from Ages of Nerds.
And I'm the official Royale.
And this is
Nerd Nation. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Em, and this is Sports Yack. So basically, we're going to be talking all sports all the time. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like, share, all that. We want to hear from you. We want to see you. We want to interact, and we're looking forward to everything. So tune in.